for Curtis's go-ahead. Looks like we've got Curtis's permission, so with that, we'll call our meeting to order. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening? If not, we entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support. Okay, we have a motion support. Last chance for comments or questions. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried. We have an agenda. Roll call. Are you completed? You are. Good deal. Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please rise and join us in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Next, we can entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes of the February 10, 2026 regular meetings. Yeah.
Move approval to whatever.
Extra minutes.
Whatever
it is. Sorry about that. We had a motion and support. Are there any comments, questions, additions, deletions? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. That motion is carried as well. On to C, hearings. We have set a public hearing for Tuesday, March 10, 2026 at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the agenda will allow to consider a special assessment district, a final special assessment district number 1 of 2024 for construction of sanitary sewer leads on Pine Avenue.
Move to set the hearing. Support.
Okay, we have a motion support. Comments or questions? Background?
Just this is routine. This is the final closeout for any assessments that were made for the leads from homes or businesses that we paid 50% for.
Okay. Last chance for comments or questions? I see none. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion's carried. Thank you. Moving on to bids. First, we are to consider a resolution to receive bids and award the parking lot seal and stripe project, including a second coat of sealer on all lots to Zenberg Asphalt for a total bid of $19,201, and also to approve the related request for purchase. Your pleasure.
Move to adopt.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion support. Any background on this, or you want to just...
Well, is the total, the 19,000, that 12,000 plus the
Yes.
extra second coat?
That's
Okay,
correct.
I just wanted to make sure.
And just to give you some background on that, and for the camera too, this includes parking lot number 4, which is behind the Opera Block and Main Cafe, parking lot 8, which is behind the former Brown Printing Building, and parking lot number 5, which is off of Woodworth, across from what used to be the drive-through at Mercantile. And this also will include Scotland Yard Park parking lot, which is the parking lot next to Beacon and Bridge. And that does include, that $19,201 does include a second coat of seal coat, but we're recommending that we do that for that, just that little extra money. It will make sure that we push that out 5 to 8 years for the usefulness of that seal coat. So again, we've been talking about the investment we've made into these parking lots, not just in downtown, but the park parking lots too. And this is to keep them in good shape. And just as a reminder, we do have discussions that will be coming up that we'll invite this board to as well with the DDA to discuss the last 2 parking lots, to resurface, and then talk about how we go on with funding the maintenance like these types of items for those parking lots that we invested some serious money into. So anyway.
So that parking lot be next to Beacon and Bridge?
Yes.
Has it been that long since we put that parking lot in there? My gosh. Wow. It seemed like it wasn't, but...
I don't, believe me.
Ephemeral for me, so...
Believe me. And they've been good to work with, because we're going to work with them on, sealing the whole thing on their part too. They'll pay for their part.
Yep, perfect.
Are they a new company up in Mount Pleasant? I had not heard of them before. And
we used these guys before, David?
Not to my knowledge. I'm familiar with the name, but I don't recall it.
Did they take over from somebody else? Don't know. Okay.
It's nice to see some different names though, because there's one that has done ours, but I'm not familiar with this.
Okay. See what happens.
I don't recall I worked with them.
Yep.
Anybody else have questions? If not, we have a motion for us. All those in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed, no. Motion is carried. Thank you. And congratulations to staff and for doing maintenance and keeping things in good shape. I mean, that's a great plan.
this is under budget too, if anybody.
No, under budget helps too, yeah, we like that. We like under budget. Thank you,
Keep
Dave.
the compliments rolling.
All right, next, we're to consider a resolution to ratify investment of the following city funds. And before us tonight, you've got 4 different investments, 2 CDs and 2 CDRs. Your pleasure.
Move to adopt, ratify the investments.
Support?
Motion support. Is there any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried. Thank you. Agreements. We are to consider a resolution approving a project authorization 2022-0005/P8 for fiscal year 2026, section 5311, operating formula grants for rural areas programs to provide federal operating funds to Alma Transit and to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the agreement on behalf of the city of Alma.
Move to adopt.
Okay, motion and support.
This is our annual, agreement to receive those funds that the mayor just mentioned through the rural areas programs, and that we will abide by their guidelines and requirements.
That's good.
Yes.
Strings are attached, right?
Strings are attached.
Okay.
But there's a lot of them.
Are there comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed, no. Motion is carried. Thank you. Number 2, consideration of a resolution to approve a contract with the Healthy Pine River Committee for the City of Alma's 2026 annual contribution in the amount of $2,500.
Move to adopt.
Have motion support.
And just real briefly, we've done this amount for the Healthy Pine River Group for the previous 2 years. This will be our 3rd year doing that. And it helps them with their planning, testing, research, and collaboration efforts, not just here in Alma, but across the county. And we did have this budgeted in our FY 2026, so we have it there already.
Comments or questions? I would just say, I think we're getting a good return on that money. It's a wonderful project and run by a great group of volunteers. So with that, we do have a motion support. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried. Thank you. Number 3, consider a resolution to approve an assignment agreement making the City of Alma the assignee/fiduciary for the Alma Street Dam feasibility study contract with the Healthy Pine River and GEI Consultants of Michigan, PC, also to authorize the manager to sign the agreement.
Move to adopt.
Support.
We have motion support. More background here?
Yep, we approved the grant agreement with Eagle back in October. The original contract with GEI has been signed by Healthy Pine River. Since we're the grantee, it makes sense to have us as the fiduciary signee for the contract with GEI. Healthy Pine River will remain on the contract, but we are signing there so we can take care of bills and do our reporting back and forth to Eagle. So that's what we're approving tonight.
Okay. Thank you. Questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried. Thank you. All right, reports of officers, boards, and committees. Commissioners may receive the following reports by one resolution, or any commissioner may remove any item within the discussion for individual discussion and vote. Before us tonight, we have the Alma Police Department January 2026 report, the Zoning Board of Appeals February 12, 2026 draft meeting minutes, the Finance January 2026 report, the Code Enforcement and Inspections 2025 annual report, the Code Enforcement and Inspections January 2026 report, and the City Manager's report. Your pleasure.
Move to receive 1 through 5.
Support. Comments and questions? I would actually like to remove or pull, I
cannot turn off anything as there are no active alarms, timers, or media sessions.
So would you mind amending your
Yes.
motion? Would you be agreeable?
I sure would.
Okay, and your support? I think you support it?
I'll support.
Okay, so the amendment, or the motion now is to receive 1 through 4, I believe.
Correct, yes.
Okay. We had a motion to support. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried. Thank you. Excuse me. I'll move on to 5 or 6.
All right, included in your
I think
packet.
we need a motion for.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Move to receive number 5.
Okay.
Or
We got a motion and support for number 5. Thank you. Sorry, Eric.
No problem. In your packet, and is available for the public view as well. We have the annual report for the code enforcement inspections for the year. Anything inspections-wise, we're talking about residential rentals and any fire inspections that Mike has done as well. In the last year, the big items were the buildings that were deemed a hazard by the building official, and we went through that whole condemned building process for dangerous buildings, and so that is complete. We ended up demoing through our process the Gratiot House and the Eastwood House. The house on Woodward Street, the owners, we were able to work with them, and that has been taken care of. From all the outside work has been done, windows, doors, siding, roof, and they're still working on the interior. There were some electrical folks there the other day. And then our Linwood property that was on that list as well has been purchased as part of the foreclosure process to the county. We have met with the new owner, and the new owner will be demoing that in the spring. So we won't have to, front that money, and their plan is to build something, home duplex back, and that's an R2 zoning district. So to build something that he could live in and also rent. So, those are basically, for our perspective from staff, we just gotta make sure we keep on track of Linwood, but we've had a nice discussion with them, and they understand where we're at with it, because we could always demo it still, because we have the order to do that, but we wanna work with them, so. And those will be off our plate. Continuing, as you look through there, it's a continual battle with folks putting things on the curb to remind them of, there's a way to move that, taking trash cans back in. Folks leaving messages about, that they see something, then going and dealing with it. But there's always more code enforcement you could do. But if you look at the report, a lot was accomplished this year. Thanks to Mike and all his efforts, and also trying to work with folks of, keeping things up. And the first thing, we don't go right to trying to demo or take people to court to remove things from their yards. We give them ample opportunity. You notice in there we did 4 or 5 of what we call, I'm blanking on the legal name of it, but it's quicker and easier for us to go through this path instead of writing civil infractions, go to the court and deal with it that way. It'll come to me as soon as we're done with the conversation. We have, for this fiscal year, we have 2 more that will probably be going into that process here soon, because they just haven't made enough progress. But that's last resort type thing. But I think all in all, if you look through the report, we got a lot accomplished this year. And when it came to the demos, of the 4, we only had to really put the funds out for 2 that we will recoup from the delinquents tax fund at the county level, working with them. So.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, actually, in this explanation, I appreciate the information. My concern as I was reading through that is there's just a ton of inspections for rental housing and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we've talked for several years now, I think, about developing a program where good landlords or things that pass inspection, we don't go back to for 3 to 5 years, at least, right? If you got well-maintained properties, you don't need to go back there year after year. Have we got something like that in place yet, or?
No, we do not, and I have spoken with Mike about that.
I think we need to make that a 2026 goal, because I think there are properties that need attention that probably aren't getting it because we're going through the same properties over and over again that are well-maintained, and the landlords don't really need to be, and the tenants probably inconvenienced by it at least somewhat.
In Midland, they do an every other year type thing. If they're a good landlord, it's every 2 years. And if they're a landlord that needs more attention,
Then you get a little more attention, yeah. And I would like to see us doing a program, something like that, so that we can spend more time on those that need our attention and less time on those that don't. And I'm good with a 3 to 5 year if you got you have different tiers of properties that, some of the brand new housing downtown, good landlords probably don't need to be seen in there for a couple of years at least, things like that. So,
Okay.
but I would really like to see us concentrate on those that need the attention.
I will ask Mark to work on some details for a program.
As a program, I'm sure there are models out there.
Like I said, I actually was just on my city manager list there about Midland.
And we have talked about this for several years. It'd be nice to get it done. So, does anybody else have comments or questions? Hearing none, we do have a motion on the table. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried. Thank you.
Conjunctive relief. That's the word. That's the word I wanted. Sorry.
Sorry, we were too late.
Conjunctive relief. I apologize.
No,
We still have number 6 open. Is there any interest in receiving the city manager's report?
Move to receive number 6.
Support.
Okay, we have motion support. Eric?
Yes, our last meeting, a representative from the Hero Center came and spoke about veterans banners being placed in the community somewhere. They also mentioned that in St. Louis, they did this program last year and they used Clap Park and the poles there the light poles there to put the banners on.
so they're not looking to put them like where we have downtown, where you have.
No, they didn't specify where to put them. It would be up to this board here where to put them. And after, that discussion, staff, discussed a little bit, and, we do have the banners along, the poles along the river walk, and we do have some in the parks. So those could be options. On the other side of it, like the banner poles themselves, the brackets, those do get costly. And in the past, we have had the nonprofit organization provide those for us to install and then put the banners up on them. Currently, we work annually with the Community Art Banner Expo, which was out in St. Louis, Ithaca, and Breckenridge. We're part of that program, and that group purchased the banner brackets, arms, and the banners each year. The Alma Farmers Market, Alma Action purchased the banner arms and the brackets and the banners for our guys to put those up. And then the Keep Alma Beautiful group, there's 14 banners that they stay in good shape so far. That are this college and the school with the KEB logo on them. There's 14 of those. They purchased the brackets and the banners. If the commission is amenable to that, staff can work with the Hero Center to come up with how they want to handle, how many they want to do, possible locations, because it will be up to this board to approve where they go. But that's what we've done in the past with all the other banners that we've done. The college takes care of them completely. All we did there was give them permission to use our light poles along West Superior Street, and the college takes care of all the maintenance, the setting, the brackets, they do everything. But all those other ones, that's how we've handled it.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, they have to follow the same process.
Sure.
And I like the idea of like the river walk when when you're driving out to Conservation Park. That would be a nice area.
Yeah.
And people can see them as they're driving by.
The other thing that we might consider, and I don't know how formalized it needs to be, but now we've got, this is going to be what, the third different group that wants to, third, fourth?
Fourth, it'll be the fourth.
Okay, so eventually we're going to run out of light poles, Should we have some sort of policy in place, or at least, so that the group that did it last year gets first crack at the same poles for the next summer? Versus, if we get more people coming to us, how are we going to divide this up and how are you going to be fair about it?
Because it does get
And if you say, if you did them last year, you get first crack at it for the next year, and then if the group drops out, then some other group can move up, or those existing someplace else can get first chance to move into a new area or whatever. If somebody really wants to be in Wright Park and somebody else is already there or whatever. I don't know what it is, but just trying to head off potential issues, which would be a great problem to have.
The big thing is staff time too. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you making that comment. It's
And maybe there's a limit to how many we really want.
There's only so much staff time when we got other things we're trying to get around for festival and everything else during that springtime where usually you're putting the banners up too. So I appreciate that comment.
Okay.
All right.
Got a comment coming.
Sorry, just one thing I want to add to that, just what we'll have to look at though as staff is what poles can take it, because depending on the size and the type, it's wind loads. So I don't know because the ones along the river walk, I don't think were designed to hold banners. The ones that we do have, like with Superior Street in front of the college, those are designed to have exactly that size for the banners. Same thing with the downtown light poles. So we'll have to look at, it might not be just as easy as where you want to have it. We'll have to look and see if these poles can actually take the wind loads that the banners can create.
And like you mentioned, Dave, there's different sizes and we'll have to work with the Hero City. This is what we can work with here.
This pole takes a 2 foot and this
Be the sizes and if there's only one allowed per, because it's going to be wind loads. So just want to make sure we talk about that.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
All right, Zoning Board of Appeals. We had a variance meeting on February 12th. The owner of the home was looking for a variance in the front yard setback for 4 feet. In Prairie Drive, in that west-southwest portion of the community, it's an R1 zoning, which is single-family residential, and that's 30 foot. So they were asking for a foot setback, or a variance, which would put them at 26 feet. As part of their discussion, when they submitted their paperwork to the Zoning Board of Appeals, that we have an R1A zoning district, which is 25 feet, and is on Philadelphia, on kind of more of the south central portion of the community. I put a map in there for the zoning area for you folks. What the zoning board would rather do, and they wanted opinions from this board and really, the planning commission, because they're the ones that, make the recommendations about the zoning map and also to this board, was, does it make sense to look at rezoning that section of the community to an R1A, which is 25 foot setback, which is already part of our zoning book, and we just rezone that portion from Philadelphia to Purdy, from Mill to West Center to R1A. That way, it's not being something that's coming and then being asked and looked at on an individual basis. If you drive down those local streets, those houses are basically right at 30 feet. So by just opening that up to the 25 foot, that would open up to other folks to have that option if they wanted to do something else, further out from the front yard setback. Or you could just look at the variance, because they did table this decision. We did send out letters, 300 foot, to all the property owners within that request area. Never received any comments about it. So that could mean one or two things. That one, that people are like, well, just do whatever. Or two, well, it's not my property directly, so I'm not going to worry about it. But eventually, once people see something happen, they're like, well, maybe I'll do that too. And then you don't want to, as a zoning board, you don't want to be approving variance after variance after variance. The way you should do things is, if that's what you want to do as a community, you make that zoning change. But there could be positives from that, from the standpoint of giving people extra options, and it would be that whole neighborhood that option to make some improvements that have that happen. If we were to go down that process, or down that road, and we'll talk about this as planning commission too, we'd want to have a more of an informational meeting before we actually have the public hearing with the planning commission, being that it'd be easy to explain to them what the process would be, what it would mean to them, and they could ask questions in a more informal basis, as opposed to getting up and just listening to comment, which you're not supposed to respond back. So, but I just wanted to get that out there before I meet with the planning commission on March the 2nd, to run that by them, just to kind of get a feel for what you guys think here too.
What exactly does it, there's no negative repercussion? I mean, it just, the 30 was a standard, and so we went with that, and so moving it to 25 in those areas is not.
That would be the only difference. And like I told the zoning board of appeals board, I don't know exactly when the R1A came into effect, but it did many years ago. It's been there at least 30 years. It's in our zoning book.
It's not defined, Eric, it's not defined in there, it just says R1A and a different color. It doesn't-
Yeah, but I like to say, when we created that zoning district, because not every community has a breakdown of two single-family zoning districts. And the only difference between R1 and R1A is the front yard setback. That's it. Everything else, lot
Okay.
coverages, side yard, rear yard, heights, all that stuff is the exact same except for that front yard setback.
And so the front yard setback, that means that the house can't start within that 30 feet?
That's correct.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that it was what it sounded like.
Yes.
That's 30 feet from the center of the road?
No.
Or from the
property line.
curb, from the property line?
And that's another thing that people sometimes get, there's distinguish, there's differences.
Between the side
The
yards.
front yard setback and side yard setback, rear yard setback are from your property lines, not from curb lines, from sidelines, it's
Okay.
wherever your property line is at.
Okay.
One question came to my mind was, you talked about from Mill up to Center, is there a reason you didn't go all the way to the river? I mean, if you're
I
doing
was
that
I was just looking at,
large block
south.
area, why are we
Yeah.
excluding, I mean, maybe there's a reason for it, but.
No, there was no reason. It was just the north-south of Mill and north-south of West Center, east-west of Purdy, and already at the east side of Philadelphia is the R1A, and then west of Philadelphia. That's what, I was just looking at that second.
Yeah, it just seems like if we're gonna do it, and if it makes sense there, does it,
Go all the way
why wouldn't it
down.
make sense to go all the way to the river?
Let's do everything.
Riverview, yeah.
That's fine with me.
Because it's just by right, you get 5 more feet to build a porch or whatever you wanna do, right?
Yes, that's correct.
I mean,
And if everybody agrees to it, that's the way to handle it, as opposed to coming, one now, 2 years from now, one.
and full disclosure, my relative is one that asked for this variance, so I don't have a personal interest in the property, but I do have a relative that does. so.
But then, and it doesn't mean that people that are 30 feet back have to do anything to go to 25. Right.
It actually gives them options if they want to
Yeah,
renovate.
I'm just saying it out loud to make sure that that's,
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah, we did something
understands.
similar
It's
to
not
our house on
like
Gratiot,
people
we
that-
lived there.
Okay.
We added a porch, we added onto our porch, we had a 4-foot porch, and we added a couple more feet, we had to get the variance and.
Okay.
Now, would one potential negative be, so looking out your front window, you're gonna lose sight lines, right, down the street? to the left of
It
you?
wouldn't be as symmetrical if like one did it here, one did it there.
So I'm
There's
just
two.
imagining if my neighbor houses come out 5 feet from where I'm at right now, I won't be able to see.
It won't be as a straight line, depending on how many people do it. There'd be, but there's different philosophies on that. Some people look at a neighborhood that's, symmetrical just like that and say, it's kind of, and other people like the idea that it's, different setback, how it looks. It's just a curb appeal type thing.
Yeah.
When that was built, and you drive down each one of those side street, or those connector streets, they were all probably done by the same contractor and everything, and they set them directly on 30 feet, because that was what the rule was, and they built them that
They had
way.
one big string and they.
String, yep.
I can imagine some of the houses having renovations and moving out those 5 feet, and houses in between maybe not having the
Yep.
funds to do that and losing sight lines to see down their streets.
That's
Just as, I'm just trying to think of.
I think if you look at the
lines.
angle, so when you're talking about, 5 feet from 40 feet away, you're really not losing a great deal, I wouldn't think, but.
But that's one thing that,
Yeah.
that's part of the questions, and it's a big piece of land there. If we were to even do all what I was looking at was already big, but doing all of it, having an extra meeting in between there to just have people information so they can come and ask those questions. Because sometimes when you get those letters, it's it's scary. It's like, what do you mean? And that questions will say, which is fine, because that's a good question. What's this mean to my sight lines? What's it mean to my property values? What's it mean to the character and the look of the neighborhood? Yeah. Those are all part of it. Like I said, the positive from my perspective of dealing with the code and zoning we just went through, trucks and things are bigger now, so some of these garages, you're barely fitting in some vehicles, and not leaving yourself a lot of room to even get around a vehicle to get in and out. From a code and zoning point of view, you'd rather have vehicles or anything inside a building than outside, even though it's fine, you can do that, but it looks better if you can fit things.
You can do it if it's on proper surface.
Yes,
in the right
proper
spot.
surface, in the right spot,
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's even better when you can actually put things in a garage if you can fit it and things. So just gives people extra options. But the question there, Drew, is, or that concern is correct. I mean, that's something people could ask, and if that's like a no, it's something that's like, nah, it's not good enough. That's too much of a something to give up.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think through why someone wouldn't, what would potential negatives be?
And like I said, I don't know what the reason was when they started the R1A. And gave, did that, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just something unique in our zoning ordinance. But the only difference is that front yard setback. Okay. Great. Well, I will be back at some point with that here in the very near future. The transit service area, the last Gratiot County Board of Commissioners meeting, I believe it was Commissioner Bailey that brought up, it's time to start looking at a countywide transit service. Not too long ago here, but in the last 2 weeks, we've had a Slipper member go, 3 weeks, a Slipper member go over and speak with the Township of Wheeler and Breckenridge area about how do we extend services over to the east. Then as you're talking with folks, it's like, okay, well, if you're going that far, you put Bethany, how do you get Bethany on board? Because you're driving right through Bethany Township. We had that issue, but that circumstance right now when we head to Ithaca, we drive through Emerson Township and people are like, hey, you're going right by my house. So we can't pick it. But unless they're in the authority and paying the millage, we just can't do that. So where we're at and where I think we need to go, I think maybe it's the time to start actually talking about a wider service countywide, i.e. But for us, I think I mentioned in the newsletter, it's worked out really well between St. Louis, Ithaca, and Pine River Township with Slipper and us. It's been just enough we've grown just enough to service it well. And I think that's what people are seeing, because I can't believe people are asking for the service. Where we're at right now, I didn't think we'd see in my lifetime here. This has been a goal of the county for at least 45, 50 years for a countywide transit, but it was always, it's not a needed service or it's not a good service. Our department's been doing such a good job and it's been such a good thing for St. Louis, Ithaca, and Pine River Township. Other folks are seeing that and they're looking at, gosh, 0.8 mils, that's not so bad to have service there, so how can we get on board with that? Well, that's great. I think the easiest part would be to get a millage passed to approve. People could look at that and say, God, this is a great value. But there's no way at this point that we could logistically get up to speed to provide the services that we're providing at the level we're providing right now. But I think it is time to start having a discussion of how we get there. So what I think, the board is welcome to tell me if I'm crazy or not. But well,
The opportunity we have been waiting for.
Yes, that's right. A couple members or 3 members, so we can meet and kind of discuss what our expectations are as a city, because we've been providing, public transportation services since the 70s. And what do we want to see? How do we want to see this grow? And, because there's if that morphs and changes into something else, how does that affect us here too? And
wasn't that part of our Elmo line?
yes, yep. And it's a good goal. I think this is time to start talking about it. But the village is the easy part.
Yeah. Well, we've always said that if other people wanted to join, we were more than willing to partner with them. We just didn't want to be the driving force trying to force them in any way. So more than willing to have the discussions. I'd be happy to serve and join the conversations.
Okay.
Personally, I would like to be part of that. As long as we want to protect what we've got, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the services that we're giving to our citizens, we don't want to lose. But I think you can easily, or not easily, but it could be ramped up to serve the whole county.
Yeah. And it's, kind of the feelings of our Slipper partners right now too. don't want to give up what's happening, going on for them as well. So the conversation with them, us, and the county, and any other of the entities that would be ultimately be a part of it. But I think we need to, from our side, sit down within ourselves and then the department to kind of talk about, hey, how things are actually running and what we would think it would take, and then where do we want to see it go to? Because we have obviously a very vested interest in making sure that our citizens and Slipper are taken care of, because they just went through a vote with Slipper and they got 5 more years on their millage, so they don't want to rock that boat either with what they're doing. So, so is there any, other than, and then Greg, is there any 1 or 2 more of you that would like to be a part of that? Or if you don't know right now, what commitment you can give, just give me
I would like to, but I'm gonna have to check and see if I can.
just let me know. And I think 3, that we can have meetings without having it be public, we notice and such, so.
But what would it take if that happened, if we brought the whole county on board? What are you talking about, doubling your facilities? Just ballparking.
Roger, if I was to ballpark it, obviously Mount Pleasant, Isabella County, they have a much larger city than Alma. And I think they're in the ballpark of almost 90 full-time drivers. I see if we're going to run, for me, if we're going to provide the service, we have to do it right. And that's how I believe that we're.
That's how we got to where we are, by doing it right.
And so in order to be able to get people where they need to go, when they need to go, we could probably be right around that half of that, I would imagine. If I'm just, I'm literally shooting up from the hip here.
Yeah, and I'm not asking.
I haven't crunched any numbers or, I mean, that's a lot of square miles to cover.
How many buses do you have now?
Right now we have a total of 14 vehicles. 11 of them are buses.
Okay.
And we have 3 of the full-size vans, which you don't have to have a CDL in order to drive those full-size vans, and you can still get 9 passengers on those. So, I mean, that might be an avenue that we could utilize to get better gas mileage. There's not as many tires. There's not, even though they're weird tires. Yeah, they're not.
The square ones?
No, they're just not a normal size. We have to special order them, so they are more expensive, but we get a lot more miles out of them as well. But no, I get calls, like I've said all along, why can't we stop at JJ Ruby's? You drive right by. I'd love to be able to stop at JJ Ruby's, but they don't participate. Yeah. So, yeah, I would love to get into these conversations. Not looking to make my job exponentially harder, but it is the right thing to do. So I'm going to have these conversations and see what the right path is for everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brett. And just wanted to give you an update or where we're at with, we're going to be bringing a change order in front of you folks for the drinking water SRF to close out the Moyer Avenue project and the Charles Avenue project. And Dave did provide, so we put that breakdown of what the extra cost would be for and Rosedale would be on that project as well. So with all the change order coming to you for folks for $87,952.57. And those cost centers, are drinking water SRF, which is the water portion, the sewer lines that went in, and then the road services that went on top of it. So we wanted to give you that because there's quite a bunch of detail there to get that project almost closed out. And we talked a little bit already about the downtown parking lot seal and stripe, and along with the park parking lot at Scotland Yard. And then we just wanted to make a couple quick shout outs. One, that thanks to Mid-Michigan Upholstery and Awning, they donated material and their labor to reupholster 6 of the juvenile puff chairs. I didn't know they were called puff chairs, but they're called puff chairs. So we didn't have to buy anything new or anything, but we were going to reupholster them, but they said, hey, we'll do that, plus we'll throw in the labor. So
Nice.
so thanks to them. And then the Children's Seldinger. That was paid for by a donation. That is being installed this week as we speak.
Great.
Who has the first question? Okay, hearing none, we've got a motion for us. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried. Thank you. Now, move down to new business. Mr. Sandro, you are next on our agenda, sir. Welcome. Okay, yes, motion, thank you, Michelle. Do we have support?
Yes.
Danny?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the contribution. As Eric had mentioned earlier, it's a third year running. We have received contributions from the City of St. Louis, City of Elma, and the County Commissioners for 3 years now, which really helps us sustain, we call it a sustainability model, which is continuing to prioritize projects that unfortunately cost dollars, but it seems to be the best way for us to operate and to move forward with the restoration of the river. In walking in, Roger said I had 2 minutes, so I would ask if you have any questions. We're excited. I'm pleased to say that we're now beyond the 20 years of water testing, not funded by Healthy Vine River, but many of them by us. And this year we actually found some good news. The Lumberjack Park area coming down through Riverdale towards Elm Hall is cleaning up. We obviously, a few years ago, Riverdale took on the sizable task of taking care of their septic issues and did a great job with that. And so we've seen the benefit of that in the river. I spoke to 2 different individuals who live in the area, and the one gentleman mentioned that on any given warm day of the weekend, he'll see roughly 100 kayaks and canoes go by their property, which is really terrific. And from our perspective, we want to see that continue to grow, and move both up and down the river. So that's great news. This year's water testing will run us roughly $10,000. We've talked to Murray Burrell at the college, and so that's been set in place. I will share with you that we're also doing some very specific water testing in the watershed. Some of it on behalf of the City of St. Louis, because of their impoundment, is moving in a direction that's very similar to our direction. It's getting worse. We have pinpointed where the contaminants are coming into the river. We've traced back up Sugar Creek, and we're now working on trying to pinpoint the reasons, and I think we're getting close there. So for Elma, we're excited because of the dam risk reduction grant, and thankful for the City of Elma and GEI for partnering. We initially authored the grant in 2024. It was turned down. We went back at it in 2025, and with the city's support and involvement, as well as GEI taking care of the engineering ease in the grant. That grant was approved at $298,000. Portion of it's in kind based on planning and time spent working on that, but about $236,000 is coming from Eagle to fund. And I will share with you a couple things. We've had some testing already. The sediment testing, in fact, comment, back in 2016, I came in front of you and asked for dollars to help fund the bar engineering and bathymetry study, of which you were very helpful with. And we found that after that study, we realized that the impoundment had 430,000 cubic yards of sediment. And if we were to remove it, it would be about a $23 million price tag. And so moving ahead 10 years, 11 years, the GEI contracted with Triterra, our local environmental group here in town, and they did the identical study that BAR did, which is really neat because it goes all the impoundment they consider from the dam all the way up to the Honeyway Creek. And what they found is that the sediment has increased by 1 to 3 feet, actually deeper in some spots. The sediment accumulation now is over 700,000 cubic yards of sediment. So in the 10 years that we're talking, it's really taken off. So that's a real issue. What they're also finding is that the sediment drop coming down the river is dropping sooner. It's not getting to the dam. It's not even getting as far as the boat launch will say and up. It's having to start dropping around the Honeyway Creek area and in that portion, which is shallowing out quickly. We already know that this area down here is shallowing as well. So that's an area that will be interesting to see what the recommendations from GEI are. But it's important that you know that. And then on a favorable note, Tractera also did 5 kind of base studies on the characterization of the sediment. In other words, what's in the sediment. And what they found is nothing alarming. Metals definitely, but metals is pretty common in Michigan. And so according to Garnett Johnson, the director there, Garnett feels that from at least the initial testing, there's not a great deal of alarm regarding can the sediment be moved or dredged or whatever. So I think that's good news for all of us. More testing coming, obviously, and they're working on the hydrology models right now, the floodplain models, and also what impact does a dam have? In other words, what happens if it were to be removed, partially removed, or stayed in place, and then how do we deal with the improvement of the backwaters, the impoundment? And that's really what the feasibility study is all about. People will say to me in our meetings, well, you're going to remove the dam. And I say, no. The feasibility study is to help us understand what viable options exist and what are the costs related to those options so that we can make intelligent decisions as a community. The other neat thing that's happening is that we've already engaged through community conversations. We've gotten feedback from our members from Healthy Pine Rivers as well as public members who are attending those meetings, and we're seeing some direction there as well. And that's very encouraging because an important part of this process is understanding what the community wants. And both our job is to educate through outreach and to listen very carefully. And so that process is engaged already. So we're excited about that. I would share with you that the outreach has historically been with the townships, the county, obviously our municipalities. We're now moving in a different direction. We have secured funding to move it into Forest Hills Nature Center, so the kids, the 4th and 5th graders, will be heading out to their field trips. There will be a curriculum designed for the watershed and the Pine River. And as well as Elma Public Schools, we met with the Curriculum Council, and they have said we're welcome to go in and meet with the science teachers and give presentations to the students in science classes regarding at the high school and middle school level. So those curriculums are being designed now. We hope to kick them off later in the spring, only with kind of a sampling, and then begin in the fall in earnest. So. The other major project that's going on now is we're reaching out to our farm community. I believe that's the missing piece of the puzzle. And I feel that we have worked with some individual farmers, probably about a dozen of them, as well as our county farm agencies. And I think we're moving in the right direction. It's sometimes contentious because I think they feel Healthy Pine River is anti-farming and anti-CAFOs, and so we're working diligently trying to dispel that. My hope is that in the next 2 months we'll see some real progress there. That's one of our goals. And the only other thing that I would share with you that I think is important is we also are involved in a property value study, and we have commissioned Elma College to do some research and talking to our area realtors, as well as looking at what data tells us through research on what happens when rivers degrade to the point where it impacts the homeowners and property owners that live on or near it. And what impact does that have on developed property, either commercial or residential? How does that impact parks? And so I think all those pieces to the puzzle are starting to come together. And so And the last thing I would say is that Elma, like St. Louis, has 2 QCT neighborhoods, which are quality census tract neighborhoods defined by the 2020 census. And QCT means very simply that the neighborhoods have a degree of impoverishment in them based on certain factors. And what I think we're seeing somewhat, and I'm anxious to talk to Morgan and see if she agrees with this, but I think the river's condition negatively impacts the use of the parks. We have 5 parks in our community that sit on the river. 4 directly on the river, 1 a block off. St. Louis has the same dynamic. And so the question is, if we improve the river, are we going to see better access to our parks? Are we going to see more water recreation, et cetera? And so all those pieces of the puzzle we're working on. And so I would entertain any questions that you might have. And I apologize for going over it quickly, but Roger, I think I'm too...
You're way over your 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Does anybody have questions? I thank you, and I'd like to commend you and the entire group for, it's a monumental task that you've undertaken, and we do appreciate all the work, and it really is having a positive impact on our community already. So
Thank you.
It's going to get nothing but more.
They say there's no rest for the wicked. So.
I guess you're qualified then.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you. Thank you again. Next, appropriations. Is there any interest in paying the bills tonight?
We need to receive that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we do have a motion on the table. So all those in favor of receipt of that report, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried and your report is received. Thank you. Now, appropriations.
Move to pay the appropriations, please.
Okay, we have motion support. Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried. Commissioner comments. Sonia, would you like to lead off tonight?
I have no comments.
Okay. Michelle. Andrew took off to go to his musical event, I think it was. Wasn't that his daughter? Yeah, so. Danny.
Nothing else, thank you.
Roxanne?
No, thanks for all your work, Chuck, and your teammates. Appreciate it. Enjoy the report, and that there's some positives. It's good. Nothing else. Thank you.
Roger?
Chuck, it's true. The Pine River has meant a lot to this community, but it could mean so much more. And there were early plans made for recreation and all kinds of stuff to get it back to where it was 100 years ago. I mean, we owned a piece of property immediately on the north side of the river, ahead of the dam, which we had visions years ago of putting housing in another downtown area down there for recreation and living and stores and all that kind of stuff. And pretty soon it became apparent, well, that ain't going to happen, because who'd want to live there? You know, we're not going to sell anything down there or put businesses down there. Nobody wants to do that. And if we could get back to some of those kinds of things, you talk about with the river and the parks and stuff, having them on the river, there's so many things that just could be done that are just out of the question right now. And is that going to happen in my lifetime? Probably not, but we've got to get onto that path to get back to where.
I agree. I think if you have a chance to visit Rockford and some of the communities that are our size that have taken on river projects, and you see what it's done to their commercial and residential opportunities and recreational opportunities, there's hope. And that's what we want to continue to remember.
Yeah, this town was built on the river for a reason, and the river was a plus, and it's no longer a plus. If we can get back to it being a plus, yes, that'd be great. Thank you, Chuck. I just wanted to let you know that Gratiot County Players, the theater project is principally done. There's going to be a work session this coming Saturday to put the chairs back in. The ceiling has all been replaced and fixed, so the tiles are not going to be falling on people anymore. And so we are kind of back to business. The new play has been cast, and it's called Dearly Beloved. It's funny. It opens the end of April. So we're back to being a theater again. So that's it.
Thank you, Roger. Sarah?
No.
Eric? Okay. Just add my appreciation again. Thank you. So with that, we'll open up the floor to the public. If there's any members of the commission or any members of the public that would like to address the commission, please go to the podium, state your name and address, and you have up to 5 minutes to share your thoughts. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Daniel Castaneda. I live at 255 Rockingham Avenue. I've been a graduate of Alma High School in '72. And are you related to Debbie Mapes?
That was my sister, yes.
Yeah, I knew her in high school, graduate.
Same year, yeah.
Well, I got a concern. I attended a basketball game. I told Eric about it about 3 weeks ago. And I asked a police officer there in attendance. This is, at night. Anyway, I asked him, I got a concern about would you protect me if ICE harassed me, or even worse, what's going on in the United States, attack me and kill me? Would you arrest him before that happens? And he said, which I was really, really upset about, are you an illegal? He had no right to say that. I'm more a citizen than anybody in the U.S. I'm natural American native. That really, really upset me. Anyway, I contacted, I wanted to talk to the chief about the incident, but I got the sergeant, and he was no better. He protected his employee. I asked him about it, and he said maybe he was just kidding. No, he wasn't kidding, joking around. Why would you say such a thing of something more or less disturbing that's going on? It don't make no sense to me why he responded and tried to protect his employee. That's a sergeant on the second shift or midnights, whatever he said. But anyway, I didn't get no answers from him. And I said, maybe I ought to talk to the prosecutor. Maybe what can we do from this incident occurring in Alma? Because I know what's going on in Mount Pleasant. Popeyes is run by Hispanics. They told me they were in there, and some of the people employed worked where students here at Central. They've been all over campus. This is something that has to be addressed each city, because they can't get away with this by just attacking public. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. They're attacking. That's the other thing the sergeant has. I can't get involved in political. This ain't no political matter. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. They're attacking citizens. They shouldn't be attacked. That was my, just let you know what's going on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming forward. You've spoken?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can follow up on that for us? Yeah. Okay, yeah, we'll talk more later?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the commission? I'm not seeing a great group of people out here. I mean, we have a great group of people, but a great number of people, I'm sorry. Looks like nobody else is coming forward, so we'll entertain a motion to adjourn tonight.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion support, last chance for comments and questions. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.